boys and girls, I have a new story to read today. It's called 10 Things You Can Do to Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle. And I chose the story for a couple of reasons. One of them is that the month of April we talk a lot about taking care of our earth. And the other reason is that this story has captions and labels and different kinds of text features that we're going to talk about this week in our writing. So let's get started. 10 things you can do to reduce, reuse, and recycle. 10 things you can do to reduce, reuse, and recycle. So this book begins with the table of contents. Remember, the table of contents just will give you a topic and tell you what page that it starts on. So reduce invisible waste, that starts on page 6. Grow your own food, that starts on page 8. And each of the 10 chapters or parts of the story begin on a different page. Clothes, toys, books, bags. We use so many different things every day, but what happens when we're done with them? If we throw them away, we pollute our earth, and no one wants to live on a dirty planet. Do not worry, there are lots of things that you can do to help. Just remember the 3 R's. Reduce, only use what you need. Reuse, use things more than once. And recycle, make old things new again. Number 1, reduce invisible waste. It's easy to see waste when you throw it in the trash, but there are some kinds of waste we can't see. When we drive somewhere nearby, we waste gas. When we keep lights on in an empty room, we waste energy. You can reduce this waste. Walk or bike instead of riding in a car. Turn off the lights when you leave the room. So what's cool about this book is this book has something called captions. It'll have a little picture and then it will have a sentence or two to explain the picture. This is different than a label because a label will just be one word. Like the kids at the bottom of the page, I might say bike or kid or backpack or helmet. But a caption gives you more information about it, like this. Riding instead of driving doesn't just help the planet, it's good for you too. A shower is less wasteful than a bath. For one thing, you will use less water. For another, it will take less energy to heat the water. So, make your showers short. 2, grow your own food. Buying food from the grocery store creates waste. It takes a lot of energy to make food at a factory or a farm. Plus, the trucks that bring the food to the store make the air dirtier. You can reduce a lot of that waste by growing your own fruits and vegetables. Here's a little caption. Guess how far food travels from the farm to your plate. For some people, it's an average of 1,500 miles. That's like driving from New York to Kansas just for dinner. And here is another caption. In a community garden, people plant their seeds together in a park. Maybe your town has one. My garden. Keep your stuff out of landfills. Number 3. Did you know that the stuff you throw away winds up in a giant hole? It's called a landfill. Then the trash just sits there, making the earth even dirtier. The pile just gets bigger and bigger. Yuck! Our landfills are already overflowing. Think before you throw something away. Can you reuse it instead? Most people throw out more than 4 pounds of trash every day. By the end of the year, your trash could fill up your bedroom. And here's the caption. A bulldozer pushes trash around on an overflowing landfill. Find a second life for your things. What do you do with clothes that no longer fit? Do you throw them away? Many people do. 4 out of 5 pieces of clothing wind up in a landfill. There's a better way though. Look for a charity that accepts used clothes, or share your clothes with a friend. Don't throw away your clothes. There's always someone who can reuse them. Do you have a lot of extra stuff you can donate? Here's a caption. Most books are held together by glue. That is why they often cannot be recycled. Keep them out of landfills by setting up a book swap with a friend. When you finish your book, trade it for one that your friend has finished. Number 5, choose reusable over disposable. Water bottles, juice boxes, plastic bags, and paper napkins. All of these things are disposable, but they create waste. Use cloth napkins that can be washed and reused. Use a reusable bottle or a thermos for drinks. What other ideas can you think of? Here's a caption. If this sea turtle eats that plastic bag, it may choke. People around the world use up to 1 trillion plastic bags every year, and only 1 in 100 ever get recycled. Unfortunately, a lot of them end up in the ocean. These bags hurt thousands of marine animals. Ask your parents to bring reusable bags to the store instead. Number 6, find a cool way to use trash. Many things that we throw away could be turned into something fun. We call this upcycling. Make origami art out of paper that has already been used once. Turn a tin can into a pretty pencil cup, or even a bird feeder. Origami is the Japanese art of folding paper into different shapes. You can use all sorts of paper to do it. A few strips of felt turn an old can into a pretty pencil cup. There's another caption. Dutch painter Enno de Kroon makes art like these flowers out of old egg cartons. Isn't that cool? He calls it egg cubism. His artwork has hung in museums. They have even sold for thousands of dollars. Number 7, be sure to recycle every day. Separate your paper, plastic, glass, and aluminum trash every day at home. Flatten boxes and wash out cans. Your mom or dad can put all these items in bags, then your town will collect it for recycling. Here's the caption. These backpacks are made from recycled plastic bottles. Plastic is not just recycled into new plastic bottles. It can be recycled into park benches, sleeping bags, backpacks, and recycling bins. If Americans recycled newspaper, we would save about 250 million trees every year. Some towns use special bags for recyclables. Think outside the box. There are some things you cannot recycle at home. This includes computers, phones, and batteries. But don't throw them away. You can take them to a special recycling center. Ask your parents to find out when your town has an electronics recycling day. In the United States, more than 100,000 cans are recycled every minute. Recycling 1 can save enough energy to run a TV for 2 hours. Here's another caption. Yard waste can also be recycled. That includes leaves, branches, and grass clippings. Number 9, compost your food waste. Compost is made from a mixture of decayed or broken down natural materials, including food scraps. Yes, that sounds gross, but compost can be used to feed trees and plants. Ask your parents if you can recycle your food by making a compost bin at home. Add your vegetable and fruit scraps to it after every meal. Then use the compost in your yard or at the park. Here's the caption. Compost may not smell good, but it is great for the earth. Every month we each throw out 20 pounds of waste that could have been composted. The plants in your garden would love that extra food. Spread the word. There are many ways you can teach people how to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Make sure your school has recycling bins like those below. Then explain to your friends why they should use the bins instead of a garbage can. Here's a caption. Your school should have bins for plastic, paper, and metal and glass. La Casa de Botellas means the bottle house in Spanish. That's a good name for this house in Argentina. The walls are made out of 1,200 plastic bottles. The doors and windows are made from 140 CD cases, and 320 bottles were used for the furniture. All of this is recycled. How long would it take you to save enough bottles to build a house like this? So we're going to skip this part and go to the end. This page has lots and lots of captions on it. It says, here's an easy way to reduce the amount of trash you generate every day. Juice boxes will end up in the trash. Instead, pack a drink in a reusable bottle. Rather than using plastic baggies for veggies and other snacks, ask your parents to buy reusable snack bags. If you do have trash, make sure you recycle whatever you can. A paper lunch tray, a milk carton, and a plastic fork or spoon can all go in recycling bins. Don't wrap your sandwich in plastic or foil. That will just be thrown away. Try a reusable sandwich wrap instead. If you bring your lunch to school in a paper bag, you will throw out as many as 20 bags a month. Bring a reusable lunch bag or a lunch box instead. So here's a couple of other things that text often has. This is called a glossary, and it will have different words, and it tells you what those words mean. So disposable means made to be thrown away after using. Landfill is a place where garbage is buried. Pollute is making something dirty. Upcycling is turning something old into something new and better. This book also has an index. So if you're curious about boxes, you would look on page 18. If you're curious about paper, you'd look on these pages. If you're curious about trucks, you look on these pages. It's called an index. It tells you where to look in the story. And that is the end of our story. So we'll be using some of those text features this week in our writing. See you soon.